Thank you for your patience. Reconvening. The committee will reconvene. We're on issue number 25, the child near fatalities trailer bill language. I'll ask the clerk to read.
The staff recommendation is to, in an effort to allow time to the administration and stakeholders, approve the following intent language that the administration has posted on this subject as placeholder, subject to further discussions and decisions in the trailer bill process. It is the subcommittee's understanding that this action will place the issue into conference, which will allow for additional time and consideration. And Mr. Chair, I can read the intent language if you would like.
Please.
It is the intent of the legislature that California comply with the requirements set forth in the Federal Child Abuse Prevention and Treatment Act, as cited, relating to the public disclosure of information pertaining to child near fatalities that are the result of child abuse or neglect. Period.
Can I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
There's a motion and a second. Discussion on the motion. Mr. Chu.
Mr. Chair, as we just discussed, there have been some suggestions by advocates and the press that while we have intent language that I think all of us could support, the idea being that California should come into compliance with federal Child Abuse Prevention and Treatment Act disclosure laws, and while it's important that we do that in order to get federal funding for us to come into compliance and to have transparency, that there might have been more specific substantive language that might potentially undermine that. So what I would like to do, I understand there's a representative from the Department of Social Services here, to just ask a few questions of the department.
Yes, let's have the department come forward. We are on the record here that we support the highest level of transparency of reporting in any circumstances involving child endangerment or harm. And so we do have a representative from the department. If you would, please introduce yourself, and then we'll have a few questions for you.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Pete Chervinka. I'm the Program Deputy Director at the State Department of Social Services, and I appreciate the courtesy that the committee has extended to the administration to explain this proposal today.
So if I could just start with the questions. So my understanding is it is important for us to come into compliance with this federal law in order that we do have clarity around public disclosure. But the concerns have been raised that there has been some substantive language that your department may have floated around that could potentially undermine that transparency. I don't think there's anyone on this committee that would support undermining the transparency of information in this area. So could you address some of the concerns that have been raised?
Absolutely, and happy to do so. The administration in January included funding in its budget for both the current year and the budget year to fund counties for the costs of disclosing information for both child fatality cases involved in child welfare as well as near fatality cases involved in child welfare. For several years, California has had statute on the books known as SB 39 that describes the disclosures required in child fatality cases. What California has not had on the books is language regarding the disclosures required for near fatality cases. It's the administration's intent to enact language that would augment the disclosures available in those cases. We need statutory language in California law to comply with the federal requirements of our child abuse prevention grant that we received from the feds. The language that the administration has been working on since January with a variety of stakeholders will be intended to accomplish that purpose of achieving federal compliance. We believe it's very important that the near fatality cases have their details disclosed as well, both for in mind of protection of the child's privacy because the child is still alive, but also very important for the improvement of California's child welfare system. So for those reasons, federal compliance and transparency into the child welfare system in near fatality cases, the administration's intent is to propose language on that topic. We've been working with a number of stakeholders on that issue. There have been multiple drafts of language, potential language, floated around for review and discussion, and we're appreciative of everybody's efforts to bring California into compliance on this topic. We think it's very important. It's unfortunate how it's been recently characterized in the media. We believe very strongly that by adding disclosures of near fatality cases, we are actually increasing transparency into California's child welfare system.
And if I could just follow up, there's been some suggestion that the language that's been floating around would relax deadlines for the release of records and potentially deny the public access to information that I think all of us think the public should have. Are you saying that that is not the case?
I'm saying that is not the case. There have been multiple versions of language, some of which would have done that for purposes of conversation. The administration is not interested in relaxing the transparency that exists today.
Okay, so what I'm hearing from you is a commitment that as we go through the conference process, that the administration will not be proposing language that would undermine transparency in this case, and I think all of our desire to see full public disclosure around this information.
That is correct.
Okay, with that understanding, I am able to support at least moving forward with the motion we have around coming into compliance with federal law, and we very much trust and hope that the conference committee, as they move through the process, will ensure full transparency around this information.
The administration is grateful for the committee putting the issue forward into conference committee, should that be the action you take this morning, to allow us additional time to try to work this issue out.
Mr. Bonta.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you to the department for providing your input on this issue. I think you're hearing loud and clear how important it is that we maximize transparency, certainly retain existing transparency requirements, and if possible, and I believe that this intent language would do that, increase transparency, both for our near fatality cases as well as our fatality cases. So that clarification is very helpful, and I am supportive of federal compliance. Also supportive of being able to leverage federal dollars through that compliance when we are increasing transparency in the process. So I thank you for your clarification and for your commitment going forward to make sure we ensure the highest levels of transparency.
Member Grove. Thank you, members, for the fuller discussion, and to the department for being on record. You know how we do things here. We get on record, and we are committed to the safety and the well-being of everyone, but especially young people. And so it is our expectation that it is as you've described, that the department is fully committed to the highest levels of transparency in reporting near fatalities and anything that impacts our kids, and that moving forward, we're working with that as a matter of urgency in the conference process and in any other deliberations that will take place on the matter. And this committee will expect a full update as information becomes available about where we are in those processes.
Understood.
With that, let us move forward. We have a motion and a second. On the motion, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Thurman?
Aye.
Bonta?
Aye.
Chu? Grove? Jones has 4.
That item is out. This concludes our actions in Sub 1. Again, I want to thank the committee members for your diligence in looking at issues for our entire community. Thank the public for your interest, and thank staff for their interest. We're going to leave the roll open so that members can add on. We'll call the roll and give Assemblymember Grove a chance to add on, and then we will adjourn.
Under DSS Issue 1, Grove? Grove not voting. On Issue 2, Grove aye on Issue 2 has 4. Issue 3, Grove no. Motion has 3 still, of course. Issue 4, Grove not voting. Issue 5, Grove aye on Issue 5 has 4. Issue 6, Grove no has 3. Issue 7, Grove aye has 4. Issue 8, Grove aye has 4. Issue 9, Grove aye has 4. Issue 10, Grove aye has 4. Issue 11, Grove aye has 4. Issue 12, Grove aye has 4. Issue 13, Grove aye has 4.
This concludes all of our actions. Thank you. We are adjourned.